The corridor lights hummed softly, casting long shadows across the metal floor as Leon Varris tightened the last bolt on the oxygen recycler. He'd been on station Helaran 6 for only 12 days, and in that time he'd learned three important things. First, the Helarans, his new alien allies, were impossibly graceful. Second, their military instructors could break a man's confidence with a single raised brow. And third, Helaran technology hated him. The recycler vibrated again, coughing out a plume of white vapor. "Come on," Leon muttered, smacking the side panel with a practiced mechanic's tap. "Don't embarrass me today." From behind him came the softest sound, a quiet exhale almost like someone holding back a laugh. Leon froze. He already knew who it was before he turned. Commander Aeryn Sael, Helaran combat specialist, stood 5 meters away with her arms crossed, watching him with those impossible amber eyes. Her presence filled the narrow hallway instantly. Tall, elegant, athletic, her skin carrying that subtle metallic sheen unique to her species. The faint gold in her irises brightened when she focused, as if emotion made her pupils glow. She wasn't smiling. Helarans rarely did, but her gaze lingered too long. "Human equipment struggles under pressure," she said, voice calm and low. "Like you." Leon winced. "That's accurate." She approached with slow, measured steps, each one near silent. Even her movements were disciplined. Helarans weren't built like humans. They moved like everything had weight and meaning. And Aeryn, she was their finest example. The kind of woman who could command a room simply by entering it. Her eyes flicked to the recycler. "You've been fixing that unit for 3 days." "It keeps dying," Leon said. "I keep undying it." "It is admirable," she replied, tilting her head in a stubborn way. Leon wasn't sure if that was praise or an insult. With her, the line was always blurry. Aeryn knelt beside him, inspecting the panel. Her shoulder brushed his lightly, accidentally, but the contact sent a jolt through him. Her scent was faintly metallic, like ozone after lightning. She reached behind the machine, fingers searching for the manual override latch. It clicked loudly. Aeryn went perfectly still. "It's stuck again," she whispered. Leon blinked. "The latch." She didn't turn her head. "Yes." He leaned to the side and saw the problem immediately. The latch, once pulled, locked itself behind the stabilizer coil. Very easy to close, nearly impossible to reopen without assistance. "You're caught?" Leon asked carefully. Her jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, temporarily. Her composure cracked for half a second, the smallest flicker across her eyes, a warm amber pulse. It was adorable. Leon's mouth moved before his brain could stop it. "That's actually kind of cute." Silence absolute. Aeryn froze entirely, her spine straightening, her breath catching. Her skin, normally a smooth, pale silver, shifted, just slightly. A soft flush of rose under her cheeks, her pupils contracted sharply. That's new, Leon thought. Her breath left her in a quiet, stunned sound. "You," her voice was barely audible. "Did you just call me cute?" Leon swallowed. Yes." The rose in her skin deepened, flushing down her neck in soft, glowing patterns like living starlight. Her species wasn't supposed to display color shifts like that publicly. It was too intimate, too unguarded. Aeryn pulled her hand free with surprising force, standing so fast the air stirred. "I must go," she said, too quickly, too sharply. And then she turned on her heel and walked away with military precision, but Leon heard it, just barely, the faintest hitch in her breath. The kind someone makes when they're overwhelmed. The corridor felt cold without her. 2 Helaran engineers, watching from across the bay, stared at Leon with wide eyes. One whispered a word he didn't recognize, followed by what was unmistakably laughter. The older engineer approached him slowly, hands clasped behind his back. "You have spoken an intimacy-marking term," he said matter-of-factly, "publicly." Leon blinked. "I what?" "In our culture," the engineer continued, "that word implies personal closeness. It is reserved for bonded partners or family. Commander Aeryn has responded with acknowledgement color." Leon stared down the hallway where she had disappeared. "Oh," he whispered. The engineer nodded solemnly. "Congratulations." Leon felt his stomach drop. No, this is a misunderstanding." "I didn't mean." "Intent is irrelevant," the engineer said. "Your declaration was witnessed, and the commander reacted." His voice lowered, suddenly sympathetic. "You have initiated the first step of Helaran courtship." Leon covered his face with both hands. "I'm dead." The engineer patted his shoulder gently. Leon barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Aeryn's face, the brief flicker of color under her skin, the stunned widening of her pupils, the way her breath had caught like he'd punched the air out of her. He hadn't meant to say it. He hadn't even consciously thought it. The word had slipped out because it had been true. But apparently, cute on Helaran stations translated to something close to, I acknowledge you as a potential bond partner. Please evaluate my worth. He wanted to crawl into a maintenance shaft and stay there forever. The next morning, the mess hall buzzed with the same suspicious silence humans always noticed far too late. Helarans were nearly impossible to read, unless you'd accidentally initiated courtship, apparently. Then it felt like everyone in the room knew something you didn't. Leon grabbed a tray, trying to look normal, which was impossible when every Helaran's eyes flicked toward him with curious glints of silver and gold. Technician Raval, who had seen the entire disaster, approached with the slow, deliberate steps of someone containing laughter. "Human Leon," he said respectfully, "you have caused activity." "Is that the Helaran word for chaos?" Leon muttered. "In this context," Raval replied, "yes." Leon exhaled sharply. "Where is the commander?" Raval's eyes brightened. "Avoiding you." "Oh, good, that's exactly what I needed." "It is traditional," Raval said, leaning slightly closer, "for the recipient of an intimacy word to withdraw temporarily, to consider the implications, to assess the speaker's intent." Leon blinked. "Are you telling me she's hiding because I called her cute?" Raval nodded once. "Correct." Leon dragged a hand down his face. "This is a nightmare." Or, Raval added, "the beginning of something meaningful." Leon choked on his drink. Before he could respond, the mess hall doors slid open with a hiss, and Aeryn walked in. Conversation died instantly. Her presence was always commanding, but today it was different. Her posture was stiff, too controlled, her gaze fixed forward like she was walking into battle. Her skin held a faint, luminous undertone he hadn't seen before, gold mixed with pink, as if she was fighting an internal response. She didn't so much as glance at him. She took her meal, turned, still ignoring him, and walked straight out again. Leon's chest tightened. "Is that good?" he asked weakly. Raval tilted his head. "It is complicated." "Everything with your species is complicated." "Correct again." Leon stood abruptly. "I need to talk to her." Raval raised a hand. "Human Leon, you cannot simply talk after such a declaration. You must proceed with formality." "Formality?" Raval nodded solemnly. "You must clarify intent." Leon blinked. "How?" "There is a gesture," Raval explained. "A respectful, non-binding invitation to communicate. You place your hand over your chest, palm flat, fingers angled outward. Then you incline your head slightly. If she mirrors the gesture, she accepts the conversation. And if she does, Raval paused, then she is displeased. "Oh," Leon breathed. "So I get rejected publicly. Excellent." Raval smiled gently. "Such risks are part of Helaran closeness." Leon muttered a curse under his breath, but followed her out. He found her in the training atrium, alone, running a slow, precise sequence of combat forms. Every motion was sharp but fluid, each step placed with lethal certainty. She was a storm contained in a single body. "Aeryn," he started, then caught himself. He placed his hand over his chest and inclined his head, heart hammering. Her movement stopped. Slowly, very slowly, she turned. Her eyes locked with his, her pupils tightened, her breath stilled. Her skin shimmered again, soft rose, then gold, before returning to its neutral silver. She lifted her hand, pressed it flat to her own chest, and nodded. Invitation accepted. Leon exhaled shakily. Aeryn studied him with an expression so serious he wondered if he'd misinterpreted everything. Her voice, when it came, was quieter than usual. "You spoke an intimacy word." "I know," Leon said. "I didn't understand the meaning." "I realized that," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "But reaction is instinctual. I could not hide it." Leon swallowed. "I didn't mean to disrespect you." She blinked once slowly. "You did not." The tension in Leon's chest loosened a fraction. Aeryn hesitated, an unusual break in her otherwise perfect composure. "When humans use that word," she asked softly, "what do they mean?" Leon rubbed the back of his neck. "It means charming, endearing, someone who makes you feel something." Aeryn's eyes widened just slightly, so it was still personal. He froze. It wasn't not personal." Her skin warmed with that impossible, subtle color again, gold dust rising under her cheeks. She looked away for the first time since he'd entered. "You caused a shift in my equilibrium," she admitted. "I have trained for years to control instinct, yet one word, one glance broke through it." Leon stepped closer, cautiously, not touching her. "Aeryn, I didn't mean to start anything that would make your life harder. She looked up sharply. You did not make it harder. Another pulse of color. You made it unfamiliar. He stared at her for a long moment, breath caught in his chest. This woman, this impossibly disciplined warrior, had been shaken by him, not intimidated. Not embarrassed, affected. Before he could speak, heavy footsteps echoed behind them. Commander Helaran entered the atrium, his eyes flicking between the two of them. Aeryn, he said formally, your presence is required in tactical briefing. Aeryn straightened immediately, understood. But before she followed him, she glanced at Leon, one quick, unmistakably vulnerable flick of her gaze. Not fear, not regret, something deeper. Something that held the promise of a question neither of them knew how to ask yet. Then she was gone. Leon stood alone in the empty atrium, his heartbeat still caught between panic and something dangerously like hope. He had no idea where this was going, but for the first time, Leon returned to his duties that afternoon with the feeling of someone walking a tightrope over open space. Every clang of a tool, every hiss of steam from a vent, every flicker of light felt too sharp, too loud, because all he could think about was Aeryn. The way she had looked at him before leaving the atrium, that tiny shift in her eyes, that pulse of gold beneath her skin. He didn't know what it meant, not fully, but it wasn't rejection. And that alone was enough to scramble his brain for the rest of the shift. When evening cycle dimmed the station lights, he found himself wandering toward the observation deck, the one place on Helaran 6 that felt neutral, quiet, safe. A transparent wall of reinforced glass looked out into the starfield beyond the station, a spray of endless light across black velvet. He wasn't alone. Aeryn stood near the viewport, hands clasped behind her back, posture straight as an officer during inspection. But her shoulders were not entirely rigid. There was a softness there, something thoughtful. She didn't turn when he entered. Helaran's senses were sharp enough that she had known he was there before the door even opened. You came, she said softly. Leon hesitated. Should I not have? Aeryn's reflection in the glass showed the faintest spark of warmth passing over her eyes. You should, she said. I requested your presence. Leon blinked. You requested me. She nodded once. Yes, it is necessary we speak without an audience. His heart thumped against his ribs. Alone, talking, with her. This was dangerous territory for anyone hoping to remain emotionally composed. Aeryn turned from the viewport and faced him fully. Her eyes held a mix of determination and something he couldn't label, something delicate. Today, during briefing, she began, Commander Helaran questioned my balance. Leon frowned. Balance, control, she clarified. Focus, discipline, he implied my thoughts were divided. Leon's stomach tightened. Because of me. She stepped closer, only a little but enough that he felt the shift in the air between them. Because of your word, she said quietly, and my reaction to it. Leon prepared himself for the worst. And what did you tell him? Aeryn looked away for a moment, her jaw tightening, her hands folding behind her again. She was bracing herself, something he'd never seen her do. I told him that I am adapting, she said finally. That humans elicit unpredictable responses and that I would regain my composure. Leon's heart fell a little. Oh, he said. But, she added, turning back to him, I also told him that unpredictability does not mean weakness. Leon looked up sharply. She held his gaze, eyes glowing faint gold in the dim light. You showed respect today, she said. Your approach was proper, your gesture was proper, your sincerity was clear. It helped restore equilibrium. So you're not upset with me? Aeryn blinked slowly. No, Leon. Her voice softened in that rare way that made his skin prickle. I am not upset. She took a step closer, this time noticeably closer, and his breath caught. But I am unsure. He swallowed, joined the club. Aeryn exhaled, a slow, controlled breath that trembled only at the very end. My species does not handle unfamiliar emotions well, she said. We experience them physically, visibly, we cannot conceal them. I've noticed, he said, a smile tugging at his lips. Her skin warmed in response, just barely, just enough. You make concealment impossible, she said softly. Leon's pulse spiked. Aeryn. But she lifted a hand, stopping him gently. Let me finish. He nodded. I have trained all my life to maintain precision, to stay composed, to separate duty from self. Her eyes lowered for a moment, then rose again, bright, vulnerable. And yet, when you spoke that word, I reacted without control for the first time in many years. Aeryn, I didn't mean. You did not offend me, she said. You surprised me. Leon blinked. Is that good or bad? She hesitated. Then, almost imperceptibly, her lips curved. It is confusing. Leon laughed softly. Yeah, I think that makes two of us. But her smile faded, replaced by something more serious. There is more, she said. Something I must ask. Leon felt his pulse quicken. Ask anything. Aeryn stepped even closer until she was only a breath away. Her voice dropped low, intimate. Do humans speak such words easily? She asked. Carelessly, to anyone. Leon froze. And then he understood. She wasn't asking about the word. She was asking about intent, about sincerity, about whether she mattered. He took a slow breath. No, he said. Not like that. I don't say things like that to just anyone. Her pupils widened, a soft, involuntary reaction. And to me, she whispered. Leon swallowed. To you, it slipped out because I thought it. The colors beneath her skin flickered, gold, then warm rose, then a soft silver that shimmered like breath on glass. She closed her eyes briefly, absorbing his words. When she opened them again, there was a new emotion there, something deeper, something quietly blooming. Then, she said, I choose not to withdraw. Leon's heart skipped. You what? Aeryn straightened her spine, but her eyes remained soft. I choose to continue this connection, slowly, cautiously, but intentionally. He felt warmth spread through his chest. I'd like that, he said. Aeryn's skin shimmered again, this time undeniably glowing. Good, she whispered. They stood together in the quiet, the stars. The next morning, Helaran 6 felt different, not because anything had physically changed, but because Leon could sense the shift in the air. Whispers followed him down the engineering corridor. Glances lingered longer than usual. Even the automated doors seemed to hesitate before opening for him, like the station itself was processing whatever rumor had begun spreading. He didn't have to wonder what it was. And he didn't even have time to think about it, because 30 minutes into the day, he was ordered to assist the Combat Training Division with a malfunctioning gravity module. Of course it was the Combat Division. Of course Aeryn would be there. He arrived to find half the Helaran unit gathered around a hovering grav sphere that was sparking more than humming. A technician gestured to him from across the training floor. Human Leon, you will repair this. Working on it, Leon muttered, kneeling beside the sphere. Behind him, he heard the unmistakable rhythm of battle forms, sharp steps, slicing air, disciplined breaths. Aeryn was running drills with 2 trainees, her movements a deadly dance of precision. He tried not to stare, failed immediately. She moved with surgical intent, each strike efficient, each step controlled, her amber eyes calm and focused. Even when she fought, there was elegance in everything she did. Leon, she said suddenly without turning, you are in my peripheral vision. He almost dropped his tools. Sorry, right, sorry. A faint warmth pulsed under her skin. She kept her expression neutral. He returned to the grav sphere, hands deep inside the panel when an alarm blared, a sharp, rising tone that echoed through the chamber. The gravity field surged. Leon felt the shift a split second before everything went wrong. The gravitational pulse detonated outward with a violent jolt, slamming into the training floor like a silent explosion. The force hit Leon first, lifting him off the ground, ripping him sideways. He didn't even have time to shout. Then, a blur of silver and gold. Aeryn collided with him midair, twisting her body around his with perfect precision. The force of the pulse ripped past them, but she used her momentum to redirect their fall, slamming both of them into the padded wall instead of the metal floor. She shielded him entirely, her arms locked around his shoulders. Her body pressed against his to absorb the impact, her breath warm against his cheek. The world steadied slowly, the alarm cut off, but she didn't move. Are you injured? She asked, voice low, breath still fast. No, Leon whispered, stunned. You saved me. She finally pulled back, but only slightly. Her hands remained on his arms longer than necessary. Her pupils were wide, her skin glowing, not rose, not gold, something deeper. A warm, shimmering blush across her neck, down her shoulders. Every Helaran in the room stared. Aeryn realized it too late. She tore herself away and straightened with military posture so fast it almost looked painful. Commander Aeryn, one of the trainees said carefully, that reaction. Silence, she snapped, but her skin betrayed her. A rapid flare of color, bright, unmistakable, flashed across her face. It was the Helaran equivalent of an emotional outburst. Commander Helaran entered the chamber just in time to witness it. His eyes narrowed sharply. Report, he ordered. Aeryn swallowed her instinctive response. Malfunctioning grav sphere, civilian technician was exposed to the pulse. I intervened. Aeryn stepped forward, gaze flicking between Leon and Aeryn. Long, analyzing, dangerous. Your intervention was immediate, he said, Aeryn's jaw clenched. It was necessary. It was instinctive, Aeryn corrected, voice low, and visible. The room went silent. Aeryn straightened, not shrinking, but bracing. Human Leon is under my supervision during joint training operations, she said firmly. I will not apologize for preventing injury. Aeryn's expression didn't change. No one asked you to apologize. His gaze settled on Leon, sharp, dissecting. You, human, step forward. Leon did slowly. Aeryn circled him once, like a predator evaluating prey. Your presence has altered Commander Aeryn's composure. Leon opened his mouth to speak. Aeryn raised a hand, silencing him. This is not accusation, he said. It is observation. Aeryn stiffened. Commander. Enough, Aeryn said. Then, to everyone's shock, he addressed Leon directly again. You are fragile, untrained, physically insufficient for Helaran combat. And yet, Commander Aeryn reacted with a protective instinct normally reserved for bonded warriors. Aeryn inhaled sharply. Leon felt his pulse spike. Aeryn's eyes narrowed. I must evaluate whether this bond, intentional or accidental, poses operational risk. Evaluate, Leon echoed. How do you plan to do that? Aeryn stepped back, folding his arms. Through demonstration. Aeryn's eyes widened. Her skin flashed a warning shade of amber. No, she said. He is not prepared. It is not combat, Aeryn replied. It is assessment. Leon felt something icy settle in his stomach. What kind of assessment? Aeryn gestured to the training arena. You will participate in a controlled trial. You will face simulated threat while Commander Aeryn remains uninvolved. If she can maintain discipline, he looked at her sharply, and you can maintain composure, then this situation may be contained. Aeryn stepped forward, voice low and firm. This is unnecessary. Your reaction, Aeryn said, made it necessary. Aeryn's hands clenched at her sides. Leon exhaled slowly. What happens if I fail? He asked quietly. Aeryn's stare was ice. Then you will be reassigned. Aeryn flinched. Actually flinched. Leon made a decision before fear could take root. When do we start? He said. Aeryn turned to him sharply, eyes dark, shimmering with something that looked terrifyingly like emotion she couldn't hide. Leon, she whispered, you don't have to do this. But he met her gaze steadily. Yes, he said, I do. The room went silent. Aeryn nodded. 1 hour later, the training arena looked nothing like it had earlier. The lights were dimmed, the air cold and sterile. Automated threat drones hovered in a controlled formation, their lenses glowing red as they calibrated on Leon. A containment field shimmered around the perimeter, a reminder that this wasn't a simple drill. 30 Helaran officers stood along the upper ring, silent, observing, but Leon saw only one face, Aeryn. She stood near the southern alcove, hands clasped behind her back with rigid precision. Her posture was the very definition of discipline, but her eyes betrayed her. They never left him, not once. Aeryn stepped forward. Begin assessment, he announced. The drones activated instantly, dispersing into 3 vectors. Leon forced himself not to panic. The first drone swooped low, firing a blunt kinetic shot designed to test reflexes rather than cause harm. Leon ducked barely, but his timing was off and the blast skimmed his shoulder. Pain flared hot and sharp. He staggered. A flicker of color flashed across the arena, Aeryn, her skin shifting in a ripple of distressed gold. She didn't move from her place, but her reaction was obvious. Aeryn's eyes cut toward her. Commander, he warned. She closed her fist so tightly her knuckles paled. Her skin steadied, but Leon saw the tension vibrating beneath the surface. The second drone darted toward him, faster. Leon dodged left, sliding behind a pillar, heart pounding. Sweat beaded at his hairline. This is fine, he whispered to himself. Just don't die in front of the scary aliens. The drone crashed into him anyway. The impact launched him sideways, slamming him onto his back. Air fled his lungs, his vision blurred. He heard someone inhale sharply, a sound so sharp and strangled it cut through the ringing in his ears. Aeryn. He forced himself to roll away before the next strike hit. His arms shook, his breath burned, but he pushed up to his knees. Get up, he told himself. Show them you're not made of glass. The third drone hovered behind him, charging. Aeryn crossed his arms. Rise, human, he called out, or concede. Leon pushed harder, hands trembling, muscles screaming. No, he rasped. He got to his feet. Barely. Several Helarans exchanged glances, murmurs rippled through the observation ring. Helaran culture prized endurance, yes, but fragility overcoming itself, that was foreign. Aeryn's eyes glowed, gold, hot, desperate. She was fighting her own instinct with every passing second. Vaelren's attention shifted between the two of them. "You continue," he said. "Impressive for a human." The drone charged again. Leon braced, but the strike still tore into his ribs, knocking him down hard. He slid across the floor, breath ripped from his chest. Pain radiated through him in waves. He tasted blood. And above him, on the viewing platform, he heard a choked whisper. "Leon." Aeryn hadn't meant to say it, but she did. Her entire body tensed as if she'd broken protocol by simply speaking. Leon forced his head up, pain fogging his vision. Aeryn's skin pulsed with a deep, luminous glow, gold shifting toward rose, toward something dangerously intimate. She was losing control. Vaelren stepped closer to her. "Commander," he said, voice low, "stand down." Aeryn didn't look away from Leon. "Stop the trial," she said. Her voice didn't shake, it vibrated with something primal. "No," Vaelren replied calmly. "His resolve is being tested. And so is yours." Aeryn's jaw clenched. "He is injured." "He is conscious," Vaelren countered, "and he rises." Leon groaned, pushing himself up again. His left side screamed in protest, but he forced his body to respond. His breath stuttered, his legs felt like metal rods about to snap, but he stood. Aeryn made a sound, soft, involuntary, raw, not pain, not fear, something deeper. Leon wiped blood from his lip and lifted his chin. "Is that all you've got?" He panted at the drones. A ripple of stunned amusement moved through the Helarans. Humans weren't expected to taunt the machines trying to break them. But Aeryn, her eyes widened just a fraction. And her skin glowed, not distressed gold, not rose embarrassment, something bright and warm and proud. Vaelren saw it. He exhaled as if a conclusion had finally solidified in his mind. "Enough," he ordered. "All drones cease." The red lights blinked out. The arena fell into silence. Leon's legs buckled. But before he hit the floor, Aeryn was already moving. She crossed the arena with impossible speed, breaking formation, ignoring protocol, ignoring spectators. She reached him just as his knees gave way, catching him with both arms, lowering him carefully to the ground. Her hands cupped his jaw. Her voice was a hoarse whisper. "Leon, why would you do this?" His breath trembled, but he managed a weak grin. "You told me Helarans respect resilience." Aeryn's pupils dilated so sharply her eyes turned almost entirely gold. "This is beyond resilience," she said, voice breaking. "This is recklessness." "Maybe," he whispered, "but it meant something to you." Her breath caught visibly, physically, her skin pulsing with deep rose gold. Vaelren stepped forward. "Aeryn," he said, not harshly this time, "release him." She didn't move. Vaelren watched her, then nodded slowly. "I have seen enough." His tone shifted, formal, decisive. "This connection is not a threat, it is a stabilizing force." Aeryn looked up sharply. "Commander, it does not weaken you," Vaelren said. "It strengthens you, both of you." Leon blinked. "So I'm not getting reassigned." "No," Vaelren stepped back. "You are bonded by instinct, even if not yet by declaration." The medbay lights were too bright, too clean, too quiet. Leon blinked against them as consciousness returned slowly, heavy as gravity boots. His ribs ached with a deep, bruised throb. His head felt stuffed with fog. But when he shifted, he realized he wasn't alone. Aeryn sat beside his bed, not standing, not pacing, not watching from the doorway like a commander supervising an injured recruit. She was sitting, close. Her elbows rested on her knees, her hands clasped tightly, her gaze locked on him with an intensity that startled him more than the injuries. "You're awake," she whispered. Her voice was raw, like she hadn't spoken for a long time. Leon swallowed. "Did I pass?" A flicker of warmth glowed beneath her skin. "You endured." "That's a yes, right?" Her lips twitched, the smallest, softest smile he'd seen from her. "Correct." He exhaled in relief, but the movement sent pain shooting through his ribs. Aeryn reached forward instantly, hand hovering over his chest, not touching but close enough to warm the air between them. "You should not move," she murmured. Leon watched her, really watched her. Saw the way her eyes widened slightly with every breath he took. Saw the way her fingers trembled when she almost touched him. Saw the way her skin flickered with gold whenever he looked at her too long. "You're worried," he said softly. Aeryn didn't deny it. "I am," she hesitated, searching for the right word. "Changed." Leon blinked. "Changed how?" She stood abruptly, pacing once, twice, then stopping at the foot of the bed. Hands clenched behind her, posture rigid with tension she couldn't hide. Helaran's bond for many reasons, she said slowly. Duty, family, partnership, but instinct bonds. She struggled with the phrase, as if translating emotions into words was harder than translating languages. Instinct bonds form only when two beings influence each other at a level deeper than logic. And you think that happened with us? Her eyes closed briefly, painfully, before she faced him. I do not think. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I know. Leon's pulse stumbled. Aeryn. She moved closer, steps slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial. Her skin shimmered with a soft gradient, gold near her temples, rose near her throat, a warm, glowing light tracing down her collarbones. She stopped only a breath away from his bedside. When I saw you fall, she said quietly, something in me reacted without thought, without training, without permission. Her gaze dropped to his chest, his heartbeat, then rose to meet his eyes again. My instinct was to reach you, shield you, stop the pain from touching you. A pause. This is not typical. Leon's voice was low, steady. Not typical for who? For anyone. Her breath trembled. For me. Silence stretched between them, soft, electric. Leon reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Instead, she stepped closer until her hand rested in his. Her skin was warm, warm in a way he hadn't felt before, like her body temperature was rising in sync with her emotions. Aeryn, he said gently, I don't fully understand what bonding means in your culture. I will teach you, she whispered, if you wish to learn. He squeezed her fingers lightly. I do. Her pupils dilated, expanding until the gold in her eyes glowed like small suns. But before she could speak, a sharp alarm pierced the medbay. Red emergency lights flooded the corridor. Aeryn's head snapped toward the doorway, posture shifting instantly from vulnerable to battle-ready. Station alert, she said. Multiple sectors breached. Leon struggled to sit up. Pain ignited across his ribs, but Aeryn caught him before he could go too far. You cannot fight, she said firmly. I'm not trying to fight, he winced. I'm trying to help. You help by staying alive, she insisted, a protective edge sharpening her tone. I will go. Leon opened his mouth to argue, but froze when she suddenly leaned down, her forehead touching his. The gesture was brief but intimate, undeniably intimate. Her skin glowed bright gold where they touched. Return to me, he whispered before thinking. Aeryn inhaled sharply, a sound like a quiet gasp, filled with more emotion than she had ever shown. I will, she said, voice soft and fierce at once. You have my word. Then she stepped back, only enough to turn toward the door, her silhouette backlit by pulsing red warning lights. Just before leaving, she glanced over her shoulder, eyes burning with a vow that felt deeper than speech. Leon, she said. He looked up. You are not fragile. He swallowed hard. Neither are you. A final flicker of rose gold lit her skin, like a heartbeat made visible. And then she was gone, disappearing.